So, do we have a hope of actually pulling this off, of making this massive transformation? Well, we've seen that if you do the calculation, renewable energy is currently cheaper than fossil fuels. And the price of renewable energy, at least solar photovoltaics and wind power, and other forms as well to some extent, some of them, is coming down drastically. What does that mean in practice? Well, it does mean that if you look around the world, the vast majority of new electricity generation that's being put in is solar and wind. So here is the annual global net new deployment in gigawatts per annum up to 2021, and you can see solar photovoltaics, solar cells going up, 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 wind up, 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 gas turbines flat, coal down, hydro level or maybe dropping a bit, nuclear and bio are almost irrelevant on the scale. So the prices are having an effect. Photovoltaics and wind are going up because they are cheap. But the trouble is they are still very, very small. Here is the share of electricity production by source for the world as a whole, and you can see that coal is producing most of the world's electricity. Maybe it started declining down in the last few years, but after that it's been pretty level. Gas has been ramping up. Nuclear has been going down, partially because some countries have been removing their nuclear plants, and also because the overall amount of electricity generation in the world is going up, and not many people are building new nuclear plants because they're too expensive. Hydropower gently declining, oil rapidly declining, and then you can see wind, solar climbing fast, but still at a very low base. Between them, they're less than 10% of the world's electricity generation at the moment. Looks even worse. The previous figure was as a percentage, but if you look at the total number of terawatt hours of power produced in the world, you can see that solar and wind are getting larger, but it's on top of an overall rapidly rising world energy consumption. So the amount of consumption from natural gas, oil, coal, and other fossil fuels is still climbing, not going down, and it needs to go down very fast, not keep on climbing. So that sounds quite depressing. However, if I want to make an optimistic point of view, it would come from graphs like this. This is the world installed solar energy capacity, and it kind of looks like a straight line in a log-log graph. But a straight line in a log-log graph means it's actually exponential in number of gigawatts, climbing very rapidly. And in fact, the installed amount of solar energy in the world, that's about new energy coming in every year, is going up by about 38% a year. Now that means, if that keeps going, if we can keep on adding 38% new solar capacity every year, which is not steady state, because 38% of a large amount is many more solar cells than 38% of a small amount, but that's what's been happening in the recent past. That looks pretty exponential to me. And if we can keep that going, then it's going to start making a real difference. It's like any exponential curve. For a long time you can ignore it. It's like the spread of COVID or economic growth in China. For a long time, because it's coming off a very low base, you can ignore it and ignore it and ignore it. But if it keeps going exponentially, at some point it becomes huge very quickly and surprises everybody, just like COVID pandemics did. And so at the moment, we're in a situation where renewable energy is a pretty small fraction, but if it keeps on growing exponentially, it's going to start making a really big difference, surprisingly fast. Here's what's happening in Australia. Here, it's between 2008 and 2022, the National Energy Market, which covers the eastern states of Australia and where the energy is coming from. And you can see brown coal, black coal falling off, and you're looking at a big ramp up of solar, both rooftop and utility, and wind, and hydro being fairly constant. So things are improving in Australia, but it's going to have to improve a lot more if we're going to meet our ambitions.